Hey, what's up guys? It's Kevin over here at Pedal PT. I had a couple minutes, figured we'd try out this Facebook Live thing just to see how this goes. We're gonna talk about the three most common myths that we tend to see about bike fitting. There's a lot of information out there, and if you Google bike fitting, you will come up with a lot of information. So we're here to help you sift through some of that information. So a little bit about me. I'm a physical therapist here in Portland, Oregon. We own a clinic called Pedal PT. We treat a lot of bicyclists, see a lot of folks for bike fitting of all levels. Our office has been in business since 2012, so been seeing a lot of folks for all kinds of cycling related injuries, both from high level to the everyday bicyclists and bike commuters. So with that said, not sure if anybody's even watching this, but we'll go through and talk about the top three things just to see how this goes. So number one, the top three myths of bike fitting. The first myth is that bike fit is for only high mileage or elite level athletes or triathletes. Although we do see a lot of those folks for bike fitting, those people spend a lot of time on the bike, so they tend to develop aches and pains. But the funny thing is that a lot of us that ride a bike, commuters, everyday folks even on e-bikes, cargo bikes, roughly 85% of people in general will tend to develop aches and pains related to bicycling. A lot of that stuff can be managed from bike fitting. Bike fitting, when we refer to bike fit, we're talking about the adjustment of the saddle, the handlebars, the cleats, the shoes, anywhere we touch the bike. Another thing that we typically will miss in bike fitting is also discussing about posture and control and where you actually should be on the bike. But the first myth is that it's for elite level riders, but it's not. It's for all of us. Here in Portland, Oregon, we see a lot of bike commuters, everyday bicyclists. Not everybody races, not everybody is wearing spandex and Lycra. So whatever your riding style, we just saw a lady that was 70 years old last week who just wanted to ride her bike down to the farmer's market. So all we want to do is be able to allow people to ride a bike without pain, and there's a variety of ways we can do that, from not only adjustment of the bike, but also educating those clients. The second most common myth in bike fitting that we get asked a lot as well is that motion capture, all these fancy tools, pressure mapping is what's needed in order to provide an effective bike fit. And all those are wonderful tools to use. They are not at all necessary to provide quality bike fitting service. As we say, the proof is in the pudding. We could give you a lot of amazing carpentry tools, and that doesn't mean that you'd be a wonderful carpenter. Those are all effective tools, and I think what the idea is that we need to be able to attach this or work on this from a multidisciplinary approach, not only from a PT perspective of looking at the body holistically, of what are your range of motion limitations, what is your pain that you're having, what are your issues, and what are your goals, what can we do to accomplish that. Now, whether we've got that when we put motion capture and things on there have been studies that have shown that all the points that we put on the body to map the body in these motion capture systems have been flawed. A lot of the folks that are applying these small dots that you put on different bony landmarks, their inability to locate correct bony landmarks leads to poor judgment and poor measurements. And if we're basing bike fit on those measurements alone and that one-size-fits-all box of that, we're not going to get a very effective result, because everybody doesn't fit in the same box, and whatever those numbers might show on that motion capture, that doesn't always lead to pain-free bicycling. So I think that's the number two thing, is that you don't need all this fancy equipment to invest $20,000 in motion capture. You just need to be able to recognize pain syndromes, understand basic biomechanics for bicycling, and also have a good understanding of what that injured tissue looks like, what type of pain they're having. So that would be the second most common myth that we tend to see at the offices. People kind of get caught up in all this fancy equipment and machinery, but again, they're only tools, and they're only as good as the one using those tools. So I would advise you to step away from all that computerized imagery and just actually look at those people, watch how they ride, and actually make some adjustments and assessments based on that. The third myth that we tend to see is that it's all about equipment. It always needs to be a new stem or new handlebars, new saddles, things of that nature. There's a lot to that. Some people, I would probably wager to say that probably most of the bike fitters, especially your industry-based shop fitters, their first go-to is going to be for new equipment, because their job is not to be able to assess the body. Their job is to be able to sell you new equipment. So a lot of times their understanding of bike fitting is based on equipment and equipment choices. But do remember, we can have all the best equipment in the world, we can have quote unquote the best bike fit in the world, but we still have volitional control on where our body should be in space. So what we want to do is not only look at that person on the bike, but also you'd be able to educate them on what proper posture is on the bike. And there actually is some very discrepant, they always say it's as easy as riding a bike, but riding a bike is actually a fairly skilled activity. So there is a great deal of education, not only in pedaling and shifting and what should your posture be, where should your pressure be on the saddle, how much pressure should be on the saddle versus the hands. So those are kind of three things you can think about for bike fitting. If you do have questions, please feel free to reach us out to us. I'm going to try to start doing a little bit more frequent Facebook Live things so we can try to answer some questions that you guys might have about bike fit. But as far as being a physical therapist doing bike fitting, there's just not a lot of us out there that are providing this service. So we want to be able to give back and share our information and all the knowledge that we've gained for all of the 1,200 bike fits that we've done here at the office over the past 5 years. So otherwise, take a look at these videos, let me know what you guys think, and then otherwise, we'll see you next time, guys. Cheers. Have a good day.